Hey, I hope that you're having an amazing day. So I just have been feeling the pull to sit down and it's, I've been feeling the pull to sit down. No, I've been feeling the pull to share a lot lately, and it both feels good and I'm also kind of I'm stumped in a way because I feel like I go through this ebb and flow, which like everything in life, you go through an ebb and flow phase, but of shining my light and hiding in a dark hole. And I know it feels so much better when I'm in that place where I feel willing and able to shine my light. And I'd like to stay here more often. So I don't know, it's just been something on my mind lately. So I'm going to just, I guess, kind of rehash some of the things that I've been doing that I think have led me here. And I think one of the biggest ones, or the one that I started with, was getting outside every day. So even if it was literally walking to the mailbox, which our mailbox is kind of far away, it's like a 0.6 mile walk or something, but I mean, literally, even if it was just getting out on my balcony. But I really like the combo of getting outside and going for a little walk, or going and sitting on the ground. So connecting with the earth. I feel like that has been really beneficial. And on my walks, I really like listening to inspirational music. I feel like the messages, they just resonate with me, or when they resonate with me, I guess they don't always, but when they do, it just sparks different ideas and different things. And I don't know, just positive thinking and encouragement come through in that way. And just then the music lifts me up, and it's just, I don't know, sunshine, fresh air, not always sunshine, sometimes rain, magical rain. So yeah, that was the biggest thing. And then the connecting with the earth was really big too. I think I've only done that in the evenings. I would sit down and watch the sunset, but there's just something about sitting on the earth and touching the dirt or the grass or whatever surface you choose, that's really grounding and calming and kind of reassuring. So I feel like that was the biggest thing that I routinely did. Also during this time, I'm a hopper. I hop from thing to thing. I've been reading a lot of different books. I haven't finished any of them yet, but I'm really excited about all of them. And one of them being In the Flow by Elisa Vitti. And so just learning more about my cycle and kind of how to sync my life with it, instead of working against myself or forcing myself into situations or activities that don't necessarily honor me at the time. So that has been really good. I don't know, maybe I'm not quite halfway through, but it's really good. It's so good. There's if you search Elisa Vitti podcast, she doesn't have her own that I know of, but she's done a lot of interviews. One on, I think, the Sahara Rose podcast, and another on Lacey Phillips' Expanded podcast, and they're both so good, so eye-opening. So I've been enjoying that, and that's also really given me permission to, around my period, to honor myself and rest instead of feeling guilty, which I feel like has been huge. Made such a big difference for me. And then, so the other thing, it talks about syncing your exercise with your cycle, and how when you're around your period, now you don't know, around, and then a little bit before and after, maybe, don't quote me on that, not to do high intensity exercise. And that has been something that I kind of backed off a lot of the intensity of my exercises kind of a little bit before I started reading this, and I don't know why. And so I've just been walking a lot, which pairs well with the outside I was talking about. But anyways, that was just, I guess it was really cool to read that there's definitely something to that. And then so the time to do those high intensity things is more around your ovulation time. And if you're in sync with the moon, your ovulation around the full moon, and then your period, your menstrual cycle around the new moon. So been loving all of that. Yeah, you should check it out. And then what else have I done? I've been making an effort to, I mean, I've been meditating for a while now, off and on for sure. And trying to think what else. Reading more books. I'm like looking down here because I'm like, oh, I want to tell you more. I want to tell you more. But I think being more present and trying to live more from a place of love, not only for others but also for myself. And I think that as much as you like love others and as great as you can treat them, you can only go so far if you don't have that deep love for yourself. So I'm really working on that. I do realize like I have low self-worth. Yeah, speaking of that, another thing I've been doing, yay, back to Lacey Phillips, her Pathway program. You get a Pathway membership. I've been doing some of her work, and basically it focuses on raising your self-worth in order to kind of live the life that you want. And I haven't been super consistent with that, but I feel like there are just, I've had a lot of realizations of like, oh, I do this because of that, or I feel this way because of that. And when I'm able to like connect those points, it's really beneficial in being able to clear it if it was something that was holding me back. So that's been really good. And also there's something called internal yoga with Felicia, a friend of mine who is so magical, and she does it online, and she recently just set up her website. You can sign up if you want to. I'll put in the link below, but it's once a week and it is so magical. Like, her energy is amazing and so uplifting, and she shines so bright, which I feel like has really given me permission to shine and inspired me. And so you start out and she like channels messages and energy, and she'll talk about, well, a variety of things. It really just depends on the day, but I just feel like the messages are always like so timely. And let's rewind a little bit. We start with lavender, and we rub lavender oil on our ears, and that, I think she said, is supposed to open you up like to your intuition. And then she usually picks a different oil that's like unique to that day, and whatever oil that is, we rub on our hands if you have it. If you don't have oil, you can still totally do this. And she said massaging your hands opens up your heart chakra, and so those things kind of get you ready. And then as you're doing that, she's talking, sometimes she's pulling cards, and then I would say, I don't know, she talks anywhere from like 20 to 30 minutes, and then we go into a meditation, and she like guides you through it, and then she pulls you out at the end with a nice like little bell or singing bowl. I don't know what she has, but it's pretty. And then after that, she'll come, as we come to, she'll talk again. And yeah, anyways, I don't know if I'm describing that well, but it is awesome. It's so magical. So if you're like looking for something to kind of, I don't know, explore yourself a bit more, or connect with others, or just kind of get in sync with some good energy, I will leave her link in the description box below. And then, okay, other books. Let's see, I think out of the 4 other ones, started reading this one first. So Teaching Yoga in an Upside Down World. I have really enjoyed this. I'm like actually halfway through this one. And I just really appreciate I appreciate the wisdom and experience shared in here, and the different opinions that I may not have, I don't know, been aware of. And I guess one of the biggest things that sticks out to me about that right now is she's talking about choosing a yoga teacher and how it's really important to choose one that like resonates with you and like matches your energy and that feels good and nourishes you. And I so align with that. And she talks about also choosing like a teacher if you're going to do yoga teacher training, and how a teacher should never like belittle you or judge you or try to have you act or teach in a certain way. And I guess that really like struck a chord for me because my first teacher training, that's kind of what happened to me, and it definitely affected me. I shut off yoga for like a year and went into, you know, running, other stuff, which is not bad. I just, yeah, I don't want anything to do with yoga. And anyway, so her saying that just kind of was, what did it do? I don't know if it validated that what happened wasn't okay, because I don't necessarily believe that. Like, I believe that, you know, people are here to interact with each other and to learn and grow from one another. And my takeaway from my teacher training was that if my self-worth, my self-love would have been higher, then I wouldn't have been affected in the way that I was. So I did learn and grow from that. But I guess there was a little part of me that was always like, oh, like still hurt from what happened. And I think I have this written in a post. I will link the post below if you're interested in the whole story. It's kind of long to get into on here, but I'm happy to share if you're interested. Yeah, so I don't know if that makes sense. There's a lot of other good points in here, but as I'm switching around, that is the main thing that sticks out to me. And then also the yamas and niyamas, exploring yoga's ethical practice. So I actually had this book when I started. It was part of the curriculum of my first teacher training, and I read it, but I don't feel like I was in the place I am now to like absorb in the same way and grow from it and actually like apply the principles in my life. And then after that teacher training, I told you it didn't go so well, and I got rid of all of my books. So like, I don't want to look at those. I don't want to have anything to do with them. But then we started talking about this in my second teacher training, and I don't think we didn't actually buy this book, but I was like, I want it again. Like, these are so cool. They're so cool. They're so thought-provoking and eye-opening. So anyways, I asked for this for Christmas, and this is my second copy. And basically, I just read Ahimsa, which is nonviolence, not only to others, but also to yourself in your thoughts. Like little acts such as being like, oh, I suck, I did that, or I look awful, you know, the way that we speak to ourselves. And I think another reason I was really drawn to this is my second yoga teacher, Chantel, who is amazing and also so magical. She had mentioned before how she would choose one of these to focus on, so like Ahimsa, nonviolence, and she would focus on one per month. And I thought that was such a cool way to like really incorporate this into your life and kind of absorb it a bit more deeply. So that's where that came from. And then I have two more. The Power of Now. I had heard of this and I had wanted it for a long time, but I am the kind of person who likes to like go to thrift stores sometimes, especially with my mom and my sister, or like book thrift stores, whatever. I like to look at the book section, and I'm pretty sure I got this for like $2 or $2.50. It looks like brand new, but anyways, I feel like that's like, those are the most exciting finds. I have thoroughly enjoyed this. I'm not too far into here. I'm on page 36, and so let me give you a few points. Chapter 1 talks about you are not your mind, and so I have really been paying extra attention to that. So like if let's just say something as simple as I judge someone. So I'm like, ooh, that person is, they were rude for doing that, or that person is being impatient, or I don't know, that person is not a very nice person, or something. Yeah, I don't know. But then being able to differentiate, like, hey, that's not me. Like, I'm the one hearing that voice. And so by separating that, if my judgment was worse, I'm trying to think. I know I've had instances where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a horrible person for thinking that. And then I'm like, no, Kylie, like, that wasn't you. That's the ego. And you can just say, no thanks. Like, I don't agree with that. So being able to separate from the mind, I feel like is really helpful. And then, that kind of summarizes the first chapter, and that's about as far as I am. So we'll stick with that, but that's a good one. And then I literally started reading this one yesterday, A Path with Heart by Jack Kornfield. And the funny thing is, so I have a nice collection of books, most of them thrifted, like I was saying, in my closet. And I always tell myself, like, I'm not gonna buy another book until I read all of mine. But I mean, if you find one that lights you up, it's kind of hard to pass up. But this one is actually from my second teacher training. And this was like an extra, I think, in terms of the curriculum. It wasn't something that we actively went over together, but I've like known that I've had it, but I didn't really like read like what it was about. And I feel like I've been thinking about it, so being pulled towards it for like a week now. And then yesterday I was like, I'm gonna go check that out. And so it's A Path with Heart, a guide through the perils and promises of spiritual life. So I'm like, yes, please. Like, that is so right up my alley and what I'm interested in. Excuse me. Yeah, so chapter 1 was Did I Love Well? And at the end of each chapter, at the end of each chapter, there's different meditations, oh gosh, my words, I'm sorry, that relate to the topic. So like the first chapter was loving, and then meditation on loving kindness. So he gives you just a meditation where you recite this as you're meditating. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. And you start off by reciting that and thinking about yourself, as long as it takes, until you like really feel it and you really develop that deep love for yourself. And then from there, you can start to branch out to other people in your life. And so I don't know how long it's gonna take, but I am definitely directing that towards myself, because that's something that I'm working on. Oh, and another interesting point, I thought this was fascinating. It said to like close your eyes and like think of your life, and then think of your body, and take note of how vulnerable you are, how fleeting life is, how it's not guaranteed. And I was like, ooh, like he was like, yeah, really like think about death. And that was kind of weird to me, but I did. And obviously I felt like that like sag inside, a little bit sad. And then he suggested that you then think of, okay, so you pretend you're on your deathbed, and then he suggested you think of 2 good deeds that you've done. And as you think of them, just notice like how your body, your emotions shift and how that feels. And what came up for me, I have 2 cats and it's really funny. The first one was rescuing my first cat, and the second one was helping my second cat. I mean, I rescued both of them, I guess. And yeah, those are the 2 things that came up for me. And the point being that most people who basically at the end of life, it's not about like your accomplishments, how much money you made, about the things you have. It's about like the moments and the feelings. Hope that's kind of giving you an overview. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool exercise to do, even though I was kind of like, oh, I don't want to go there at first, but I definitely get the point. And I'm just really excited to dive deeper into this book. I feel like I'm getting a lot out of it, and I would suggest it. So that's where I'm at. Thank you for listening. It was fun filming. Do you guys have any tips on like how to stay in your light? Or I know that wanting to retreat and back off is going to happen. We're not always going to be at our peak and shining, but like, how do you come out of that place a little bit sooner? And how do you not just like continue to spiral downward? I feel like that's something I am searching for. And then also, I'd love to know what things you do to kind of bring you to feeling like the person that you want to be, or bring you closer to being the person that you want to be, giving you permission to shine bright. Thank you for watching. I hope that you have an amazing and magical day, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.